What's up, Rich?
Yo, what's going on? Party people in the place to be. Good evening, everybody. It's your boy Rich. We here. We are live Sunday night. Real talk with Rich. I have the Queen with me, Tameko, and I have the Black Panther, the High Priest of the cult of Bass. You know that will tell you about your favorite creator in a tweet. He's not gonna do it publicly, but he'll tell you about it in the tweet. I got my man Paul in the building too. How you doing, sir?
What's up, man?
How you doing,
I
Tamiko?
hear my wife calling me, so I might pop out for a sec.
Uh-oh.
Oh, tragic. Okay. Well, we're gonna go either way. Either way, we're gonna keep going. So, good evening to everyone. Black superheroes forever. Black comic lords. We are live again. We got another show for you, and we're gonna get this thing started right off the bat. We're not gonna prolong the time. We're gonna get into our first segment, which is comic of the week. And Paul, since you may have to jet out of here, could you tell us what is your book of the week, sir?
Well, I mentioned this actually Friday. Honestly, trial of the Amazons.
Okay.
Trial of the Amazons is the new event DC has going on with all the Wonder Woman related books. It was a very impressive read. I like the concept because you've got several Wonder Woman books, or at least there were up until right now. There was Wonder Woman, Wonder Girl, and Nubia. And now you've got this event that sort of brings them all together to decide, who's going to be the new guardian of the gates and ultimately the new queen of the Amazons.
Right.
So it's a real dope read, man. Trial of the Amazons. I highly recommend it. You want to read this before you read Nubia #6, because
Yes.
what happens in Trials of the Amazons directly correlates into what happens in Nubia #6.
Okay. What you think about that, Tamika? Did you read that?
It's on its way to me. I don't have it in my hands just yet.
Okay. Well, I did read it, and you're right, Paul. It is a very amazing book. I gotta say, I kept going back to the front page and make sure that the writers that were on this book were indeed the writers
I
of this
was I
book.
was waiting for that comment.
I'll just say it. I'll just say it. But I did find out though that shout out to everybody that wrote on this book. There's more than one writer on this particular book,
And
and
artists
so
too.
yeah. So I gotta say that I was very impressed. What I do like about this particular crossover or whatever is it's only going to be 7 books in total. You got Trial of Amazons #1, you got Nubian Amazons #2, which is the part 2 of it. Wonder Woman 785, Trial of the Amazons, Wonder Girl #1, Wonder Woman 786, and Trial of the Amazons, Wonder Girl #2, and then Trial of the Amazons #2. So between now and part of April, we should be treated to a pretty good story. So I'm
Oh, yeah,
definitely
I'm
looking
buying.
forward
I'm buying the whole
to it.
lot.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I am going to collect it. So it seems very, very promising. So we won't spoil it for Tamiko. But what I will say, because I got to talk my ish.
Mm.
I didn't like
Here
the
we go.
way this ended. I did not like the way this ended. I'm just saying. And that's just me saying, listen,
Mm.
I understand you needed to like give us a shock, and you did, but I just didn't like the way it ended. I just was kind of like, really? That's what we doing? Okay, DC. So I'm gonna buy in. I'm gonna collect it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'll say about that. So Tamiko, dear, could you bless us with your book of the week?
Okay. My book of the week, Marvel Voices Legacy.
Hey.
And of course, I was so enamored with this that not only got
Uh-huh.
the first variant, Olivier Coipel, I also got
Okay.
Chris Cross. All
Wow.
right. This cover. gorgeous. I believe this is the Edwa Edge and Nebe cover.
Okay.
And of course, I got this cover as well.
Wow.
And this, of course, is the Torrin Clark cover. Torrin Clark.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm pretty much stuck on these. I mean, the covers are gorgeous. The stories, I like the stories.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, that's my current love for the week. But I have more coming, and then I'll outline those in my next haul.
You know, it's
That's what's up.
interesting. In that particular book, you had a moment that someone had noted online. Let me pull it out here. Sam Wilson is apparently a better fighter than Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Because
shouldn't be
Sam
so
Wilson
hard.
did something Steve Rogers has never done. Steve Rogers has never beaten Taskmaster in a hand-to-hand combat.
Mm.
As you can see here, Sam Wilson knocked Taskmaster right out. Unprecedented. Look at that. Look at that punch. Wham,
Sam
he's
got
out.
those hands.
Sam Wilson got hands. He apparently got better
Sam got
hands
those
than
hands.
Steve Rogers.
Okay, that's what's up. So, my book of the week, it was very, very hard to come down to. There were several books this week that I enjoyed, but I gotta, man. This is probably gonna make Paul grin. I gotta go with Black Panther #4. Black Panther #4 was an amazing book in that we got a chance to see, or we got a chance to, I should say, witness T'Challa, you know what I'm saying, doing his thing in terms of the chessboard, just looking at the pieces and all that. So he there's a lot that happened in this issue. The first couple of pages, you know, T'Challa's all booed up with Storm and everything seems to be peaches and cream. And, you know, she gives my man a goodbye kiss. And, you know what I'm saying? They just, you know, it's just so precious. It's so precious. Look at him. Look at him. Black love, y'all.
Black super love, man. Black super love.
Black, whatever. But the difference, what's the difference between black super love and black love? Well, not too much. I'll say it like that, because no sooner did my man boards the ship and leaves, the queen, the high priestess Storm, turns her gaze at Gentle. the region of Mars, whatever you want to call her, you know, Storm Rider, whatever, Wind Rider, whatever you want to call her. She turns and she looks at Gentle, and Gentle got a look on his face like he is shook.
Yep.
And she basically tells him, "You gonna tell me everything you and T'Challa talked about?"
Emphasize every single thing.
Don't you leave nothing out.
It's almost like she should have clapped every single thing.
No, she just had to stare with them purely white eyes, and he's just like, "Oh boy, here we go." So I gotta say that this was my book of the week. Those particular panels were amazing. Then of course we get Shuri. She's doing her thing in the lab. She's trying to figure out what's going on with these fighters or whatever. She's dissecting their style and finds out that they're in fact Wakandan, and that the tech that they use, whether it may be quote unquote synthetic vibranium, but either way, because T'Challa's like, that's not possible. but somebody knows it's the only way they would even be able to imagine or even approach something like that is that they would have to be Wakandan. So the people that T'Challa's looking for is somebody of his own people. And so we get that in the story, but somebody tries to sabotage the plan and blow up Shuri's lab. Sad day in Wakanda. So, but not before she's able to get some intel to T'Challa. And he says, yeah, I see it. I'll handle it. Don't worry about it. I got it. And I guess with that intel brings us to the final part of the book, where is T'Challa confronts the sister. What is her name?
Omolala.
Omolala. Yeah. Confronts her and basically says, "We walking across the border." T'Challa just like, you know what? I mean, he lands the ship in a remote area in Wakanda, and they're supposed to walk. If I was Omolola, I'd be like, where we going? I don't live out here. I live in the Golden City. And of course he confronts her and highlights to her several things that only she could know and could do. And so it looks like she is actually the mole that they have been looking for. However, part of the problem is that T'Challa is paranoid. And when you are paranoid, you can be wrong. But we don't know if he's wrong or right. But she's kind of goes down swinging, saying that I did not betray you. And so it just was a very compelling issue. I know a lot of people have not talked about this particular book because everybody was so hyped for the issue 3 and Tosin, and people were let down because Tosin wasn't in the issue. And I'm just like, hold your beer. It's going to be all right. Tosin going to show back up. John Ridley had to cross some T's and dot some I's. And so that's what he did. So now going forward, we kind of know what's expected. But here was the prize in this issue, in my opinion. The aristocracy in Wakanda are having issues, right? And so they go to the head of the Hutu Zarazi and say, look, if something goes down, can we count on you guys to fight and defend Wakanda? The problem is, the way she puts it, it's almost as if she's expecting T'Challa to create or perform an insurrection, that he's going to go back and try to seize power. So he's like, we will defend Wakanda. And sure enough, they don't even wait. They literally take the fight or take the task to him. Because why would the Hutu Harazi just show up out of nowhere when he's having this fight with Amamalola? You know what I'm saying? So that's how the issue ends. So that's why that book is book of the week for me. Now, I got to give it 4 power fists. I got to give it 4. I got to give it 4. I got to give it 4. Okay, 4 out of 5. So it was a great issue. Just I would say what do they call this? What's second place? What second place would be? God, I'm losing my brain.
3
honorable mention. Honorable mention.
Okay.
My honorable mention is actually Nita Hall's Nightmare Blog issue number 5. I did enjoy that issue, but it was just not as good as Black Panther. So,
was there a different artist on that book?
It is. It is. Yeah. So
Yeah.
again,
the Black Panther
Go ahead.
book. You mentioned there's probably less discussion or hype about issue 4 because Tosin wasn't in it. There's a lot of people that jumped on Black Panther, bandwagon fans, because of the hype on the spec with Tosin Adue, and just sort of overlooking the fact that it's a pretty well written story. But he'll be back. He's gonna be back, and the next issue is issue 5.
Right.
There's a cool cover for issue 5, which I've shared before. I'll share it again here. This is the Boss Logic Spider-Man variant.
That's dope.
Real dope cover. If you haven't pre-ordered it, today is literally your last day to pre-order this before the final order cutoff. Highly recommend you pick it up because Tosin, his second appearance is going to be in this issue, and he's going to have kind of a prominent role. These books will get picked up, and this is probably the rarest of the 3 covers. So for you spec people, this is the one you probably want to go ahead and get. Another thing is, I just think this is dope because you've got Spider-Man in Wakanda in a sort of hybrid Spider Black Panther outfit, which made me think, Rich, about that Spider-Man issue you told me about where Spider-Man goes to Wakanda and gets his hair braided. What book was that
again? That was Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I can't think of the issue. Give me a second. I'll give it to you real quick. But yeah, it's a Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. It's actually a story that I want to say Reginald Hudlin wrote. Yeah, Hudlin wrote that story, and it's pretty interesting. Let's see, Friendly Neighborhood Spider. Okay. I'm looking for it. Nope. Maybe that's different volume. Okay. Yeah, that's actually Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Volume 1, Issue 2.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Let me share this book with everybody.
Yes, please. That's a dope book. Need to have that in your collection.
It's a dope book, and I'm pissed at myself for not having it in my collection prior to you telling me, which I have since remedied.
Well, that's the thing about our books, man. We don't really, we know a lot of this stuff, but we just don't know everything. We're discovering day by day where our books are for our characters.
All right, so this book, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, Volume 1, Number 2. I know we're going off a bit of a tangent, but this brings up a discussion I want to talk about. This storyline is called The Other. It was a Spider-Man storyline that went around at that time. It was interesting because it had to do in part with the idea that Spider-Man was kind of evolving and the question of Spider-Man's powers coming from a sort of totemic type of thing. And in his travels, he in exploring his powers and the basis of his powers, he makes his way to Wakanda to seek help from T'Challa. So this is his first time, and this is written by Reginald Hudlin, who was actually writing Black Panther at this time. And what's interesting, I didn't really like the artist rendering of Wakanda. I thought it looked a little, I don't know, not the Wakanda I'm used to seeing.
Right.
But beyond all of that, he ultimately, two significant things happen. One, he's having some problems with his powers or his, some type of physical issue. T'Challa gives him some of the heart-shaped herb. And he's like, well, I thought, you have to be like a Black Panther. I'm going to develop some type of Panther powers. He's like, no, it'll just heal you. why am I allowed to eat this? I thought this is kind of only for you Black Panther people. And he's like, you're a warrior with the heart of a king, so dig in, you'll be fine. So it kind of raises the question of who exactly can take the heart-shaped herb, because we previously believed that you had to be of royal blood in Wakanda in order to take the heart-shaped herb and not die. Now,
Right.
the assumption here is that there may be variations of the heart-shaped herb that we don't know about. You know,
Right.
there's variations of every other type of vegetation. So it stands to reason that there are variations of the heart-shaped herb. And T'Challa basically, in essence, gave Peter Parker a variation to heal him. So I just thought it was kind of interesting. But the second thing is he takes him to the temple of Anansi. He says, "This is the temple of Anansi, the spider god, your namesake."
Yep.
And who's there is Morlun. Morlun is an enemy of Spider-Man who eats totems. He's like immortal, but he eats totem. He goes after totem-powered individuals. So if you're Spider-Man, you have the spider totem, he's going after you. If you're the Black Panther, I'm surprised he didn't go after Black Panther, but maybe that's why he's in Wakanda. He would go after the Black Panther. Morlun actually confronted Shuri when she was Black Panther, but that's what he does. And it's been a rumor that he may end up being in one of the Black Panther films at some point, because he is one of Shuri's villains. In this story, you know, Spider-Man doesn't actually get a chance to go inside the temple. But let's think about the fact that in Wakanda, which is made up of many tribes, the most prominent tribe is the Panther clan, right? Bast clan, the clan of the cult of Bast, as they say. And they're sort of the ruling, whichever family is ruling Wakanda at the time, ostensibly you'd assume that would be sort of the religion or something to that effect. Obviously, the predominant religion in Wakanda is that of Bast. And that is the religion of the family that has had the most power for the longest period of time in Wakanda, which is T'Challa's. But regardless of that fact, what we learned in this current Black Panther run with Tosin Aduye's family, their tribe, they don't worship Bast.
Right.
We know that the Jabari don't worship Bast. So there are other religions in Wakanda that don't worship Bast. And one of them is apparently a tribe that worships Anansi. So there's a tweet I did recently, or I did a post in even on Facebook where I raised the question, what if they were to ever do a story? And that's based on the Boss Logic cover. What if they ever did a story where Miles Morales, instead of doing a what if story with Miles Morales becoming all of these established, white superheroes that don't need any type of publicity, what if they did a what if story where Miles Morales goes to Wakanda as part of a school trip, a field trip? Because Miles Morales goes to a science high school, this high school.
Mhm.
They take a field trip to the most technologically advanced scientific country in the world, Wakanda. And in that field trip, Miles Morales ends up stumbling across this temple and faces Anansi, the spider god, from which his totemic powers would be arguably where they came from, and see what happens with that. That would be a fascinating story. And right now, in the current Miles Morales books, he's tumbling through the multiverse. This would be an alternative way that he could have gotten his powers. I just think that stuff like that just absolutely fascinates me.
Mhm.
And I think that would be a worthwhile story to explore in Marvel. So, and at the very least, in terms of future Black Panther stories, there's a whole tribe that apparently worships the god Anansi. So imagine if they have their own hero, because Tosin Oduye is the hero of his tribe. Imagine if there's a hero for this tribe. So that's just interesting
Yeah.
interesting stuff.
Mhm.
Well, you brought up, Miles Morales possibly being in that story, but of course, I think in June we're getting a Miles Morales and Moon Girl book.
Yeah.
That is good to see, and I'm not sure if it's the history, but will this be the first Black superhero team up book?
Mm.
So
Black
I'm just curious.
superhero team up book. I never thought about that.
We've seen Black superheroes in books, whether we're talking about Black Panther runs, Luke Cage runs, but have we seen two Black characters established and put in a comic book together, sharing a title? This might be the first one. Get to work, Herschel. I'm gonna need you to work on that. I'm gonna need the Black Comic Lords archives and research and development division to work on that. So, but yeah, there's something to consider though, because when I saw it, I kind of initially thought that I was like, well, this never has happened before. Um, Storm has had books, Bishop has had books, but name a team up. The Thing has had books team up with Brother Voodoo and all kinds of different things, but we've never seen, I don't think, to my knowledge, in Marvel, a superhero team up like this. This would be the first. I don't know who's watching and who can dispute that, but I do think that is history taking place. But like I said, I stand to be corrected. So
Damn,
either way,
you got the wheels turning, man. I'm like, I need to know if this is the first one.
yeah. Shout out to Rico. Rico's in here. He says the Nazi first appearances in Spider-Man Fairy Tales #2. Yes. Yeah. So that's what's up. That's a good book to get
That's
as well.
actually a must-have book.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up real quick. Show you what it is. I have it in my collection myself. This is the book Rico's talking about. Spider-Man Fairy Tales. It's the first time you see Anansi in Marvel.
Mhm.
Dope book. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Is you've got Anansi's avatar as the Spider-Man on Earth. I mean, you talk about your original Black heroes. I mean, here's a good way to do a Spider-Man version. That's sort of an original Black hero, because you could arguably say this hero predates Peter Parker.
Right. Right. So that's what's up. So anyway, Lara, let's got he's okay.
So
He says the crew. So yeah, you're right, Rico. The crew will probably be the difference. Um, it's interesting though. That's and I guess technically that could be the truth, but did we know who the crew was before they actually put the book out? You know what I'm saying? We knew that perhaps there were going to be certain people in the crew, but at the same time, it's kind of like, okay, what books have we gotten with, say, Luke Cage and say Black Panther in the title? I don't know if we've ever had that. So, but the crew, to your point, Rico, you're right. But this may be the second one or the first in terms of self-titled books, whatever. Because that's a superhero collective or organization, if you will.
And specifically, it's Black Panther in the crew, not the crew. The original crew, I think, had a white member in it. So
It
it would
did.
be Black Panther in the crew would be the first all Black team up book.
Team up, yeah. So again, just something to ponder. But let's shift gears, guys. We're going to go to a segment called Low Hanging Fruit. And this is a segment where we like to talk about things that kind of like easy. We don't really have to use our brains. We talk about this, we can kind of like just, offer our commentary and just go with that. And so we have one particular story we want to talk about. Mr. Paul, I ask that you please do us the honor and bring up that article and our topic in regards to low hanging fruit. We're going to be talking about. We've been talking about Black Panther all through through the show. So we're just gonna keep going. We're just having a Wakanda night tonight. Here is the story. Ironheart Star Film wraps up filming Black Panther 2. So she's basically filmed her part of the story as far as Wakanda Forever is concerned. And you know, a lot of people are excited to see Riri Williams in this movie. And she definitely will get an applause, if not a standing ovation, because I do believe that she is due. She is due. We love Miles Morales, but for whatever reason, Riri Williams does not get the love that Miles gets. But you know, she's in this Wakanda Forever movie. Shout out to Ryan Coogler for help bringing her on board to put her in this film. And so they've wrapped up, and she tells us, you know, in no uncertain terms that, you know, she'll see us in November. And as we know, the release date for Wakanda Forever is November the 11th, 2022. So we're talking 8 months, guys. 8 months before we fill the theaters again with our black garb and with our Wakanda Forever chants and beating our chests and scaring all the white people. It's going to be a glorious time.
Get your coins.
It's going to be a glorious time. Say again?
Say, get your coins together, because we're going to see this more than once.
Yes. Yes, indeed. I look forward to it. I'm hoping that people will do what they did when Black Panther came out, which buy out the theaters, take a bunch of kids to see our beautiful melanated faces on screen. So definitely looking forward to that. It's going to be an amazing movie. You know, people say, talking about Marvel, in Feige we trust, but no, I'm going to say in Ryan Coogler we trust. So speaking of Ryan Coogler, talk about low-hanging fruit. We want to talk about, just briefly, what happened to him recently in January. For those of you that have been under a rock, Ryan Coogler went to a Bank of America in Atlanta where he's filming Wakanda Forever, and tried to withdraw $12,000 from his personal account and was detained by authorities. It's unfortunate that happened to him. And, you know, the unfortunate thing about that was that there were people that actually had the unmitigated gall to say he did something wrong, or that it was bizarre how he went about trying to withdraw his money. And again, I'll say this for the record, I wouldn't have done it like that, but that's just me. But I don't think he did anything wrong in terms of going to a bank where his money is and having enough funds to withdraw it. I could see if he didn't have the money in the bank, he probably had more money in the bank than everybody that was in the bank at that time. And so a formal apology was not issued, at least to my record. We heard that they kind of worked it out behind the scenes. And of course, the police, you know their spiel. Well, we have certain things that we have to do, or protocol that we follow. Somebody called 911, you know, and we do such and such, A, B, C, and D. Okay, guys. I'm like, okay, you in Atlanta, you in Chocolate City. Y'all got to give me a minute. I feel myself getting heated. You in Chocolate City. You in a state and in a city where people lovingly refer to Atlanta as Wakanda. And you treat Wakanda's most famed citizen like this?
Who's bringing you money, by the way? Because it's being filmed.
Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on a Bank of America. Shame on the teller. Shame on them cops. And I saw one Bama. He had the nerve to say, well, he says he's a director of high-end movies. I'm like, what? Where you been hiding? What Trump Fox News broadcast you been hiding watching? I'm like, I just could not believe that happened to him. And you know, the thing about it is, like I said just a minute ago, some of us had nerve to really say that he did something wrong, or that, you know, he should have did this. He should have filled out a withdrawal slip. That something's off about that. Look, I don't care. When can black people be free? When can we be free? That's all I'm saying. I pay taxes. Tameko, you pay taxes. Paul, you pay a whole lot of tax. We pay taxes. We're tax-paying citizens. Our blood, our ancestors' blood is soaked with American flag. When can we be free? Why is living in America like walking down the street in your own neighborhood? And then something happens to you. You're just minding your business, walking down the street, and something happens to you. And the first thing people want to say is, what did you do wrong? It makes no sense. So, for you Bamas in Atlanta, I'm gonna come up with a new segment. You know, Charlemagne has donkey of the day. I gotta come up with one because just bruh, this was terrible. You know, and this happened back in January. Okay, so they've been sitting on this for a minute. And shout out to Ryan Coogler for cooler heads prevailing. Because I know me, Paul. I'd probably be hashtag Richard Wright, say his name. Because I'd have probably spazzed. That's just me. I think that the Lord will not let me have money for this reason. Because if I'm in a bank trying to withdraw money out of my account and the cops show up and I'm like, I ain't doing nothing. I gave the woman my ID. I gave the woman my PIN number. I gave the woman my debit card. I did what I was supposed to do. And this is how I get treated. Okay. That's what we're doing in 2022? Y'all remember that scene in Training Day, when Denzel went off on the Bloods? I'm putting cases of all youths. I'm just saying, can we live? Can black people live? Come on, y'all. I'm just saying. But anyway, that's just me.
In a situation like this, this should lay rest all the respectability politics BS that they like to throw towards us. If only you were dressed a certain way, if only you spoke a certain way, if you presented yourself as not threatening to people. I mean, what more can we do? What more can we do? We are black. We can't this won't come off.
Nope.
And it seems like white people are even more frightened today than they were back when they was actively lynching folks. And it's really, really disgusting to me. It really is.
The worst part is, you know, the teller that called the police on him was black. One of the police officers was black. Mm-hmm. He's in the blackest city in America. You know, it's just look. I saw when the Black Panther movie premiered. I flew up to Atlanta so I could watch it with Mark, my boy. And on opening night, you can imagine seeing Black Panther in Chocolate City, where it was filmed, on opening night. When I tell you there were lines of people around the building of the theater in their African garb, you know, 80% of those people probably never even read a Black Panther book, but they were excited because of the concept and the movement of what Black Panther
Mm.
represented. I mean, if you go enough online, you'll see a picture of me and Mark, both of our dashikis, you know,
Yeah.
with that ready for that movie. It was a proud night in Atlanta, and for that city to treat the director of that film, who filmed the movie there, who's filming the current movie there, who's working with the studio that has brought millions of dollars to that city, who has brought
Billion.
millions of dollars in jobs to people of that city. The majority of Marvel films are filmed in Atlanta at Tyler Perry Studios.
Yeah.
They make Marvel is giving Atlanta money. And to have the director of the movie that has been so prominent for that city treated in this manner, well, any Black person being treated this manner is poor. But it just shows you that old adage of, you know, what does a racist call a Black person who's rich? Nigger.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It don't make a difference.
Mm-mm.
It don't matter if you got money, if you got a criminal record, you don't got a criminal record, if you're a business owner, if you're a bum on the street. Can I live?
Can I live?
Can I live?
Mhm.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, I'm sorry, Atlanta, but y'all going to take this L. you going to take it. Now, kindergarten says, because the powers that never should be made the sick reality Black people live in America. You know, it is what it is. We're not supposed to be here, and I think that pisses a lot of people off. But guess what? We're here. We ain't going nowhere. Like them brothers that was in that movie, School Days told them those college kids that we've been here, gonna live here, gonna die here. That's the reality. And you know, I honestly think that they kept it under wraps through the month of February, so people couldn't spaz out within Black History Month, because there's always something every year. It never fails that something comes down the pike. Somebody does something stupid. Somebody do something ignorant. They could not let this come out.
Yeah, how do they keep that under wrap for 2 months?
That I do not know. I think that ultimately, Ryan kind of like I say, he probably had discussions with them behind the scenes, and he knew the damage that this could do and what could happen. You know, so I think that, you know, he was respectful in not exposing it.
I think
so by the time
Ryan's getting free banking for life from Bank of America.
That should be renamed Ryan Coogler Branch.
So
I own them
either
all.
way, you know, I commend the brother for having a cool head, and you know, prayerfully he'll be able to like really talk about it, because he hasn't really talked about it. I mean, we see the footage of him, you know, talking to the police officers, telling them how he felt, you know, at the time when you walking up to a bank account. This man just did not want to walk out with nobody knowing that he had $12,000 in his pocket,
which is smart.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
That's a man. That's a man who understands, you know,
where he
what it's like to be in certain environments. I'll just say it like that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and so the thing is, I know myself personally. I move a certain way because I know where I live. I know who I'm around. I move a certain way so where I don't my connection and interaction with certain people is very limited on purpose. You know, even when I was when I was single, and I never was someone to go hang out and party with the mayonnaise. You know, say what you want. I love my people. I like being around my people. And even when my people are or do stupid stuff or whatever, I understand it because it's my people. I move a certain way for that reason. And in a situation like this, he just could not win because he was among his own people.
Hmm.
What do you do when your own people, kind of slide you to the enemy?
Yeah, the whole culture took a L on that one, bro. I mean, that's not a good look. I mean, white folk looking at this like, look, that's on y'all.
Yep. Yep.
You
I'm
can't blame us
surprised.
on this one. That's
I'm,
on
I'm
y'all.
surprised. I'm surprised Fox News ain't got that on a 24-hour loop.
Exactly.
Well, they wouldn't because it didn't end the way they would have wanted it to end.
Tucker Carlson be like, look, this is proof positive that we're living in a post-racial society. White people are treating themselves like this. I mean, well, it's not our fault.
Yeah. You know what? I'm tasting mayonnaise in my mouth when you said that. Please, let's change the subject.
What's up, James? How you doing?
Oh, okay, y'all. Let's transition. We're going to. He says, Kenneth Gardner says, what do you think about John Ridley's I Am Batman series? I think it's great, awesome, and great.
Man.
Okay. Shout out to Kenneth Gardner. Let me say this. That was like book number 3 for me. In terms of comic book of the week. I Am Batman is amazing. It really, really is for what it is. And I think that if people were just willing to give it a chance, they would
give it a
come
chance.
to like. They would come to like this guy, and he's adamant in letting you know, no, I am not the Batman. I am Batman, and so it's one of those things where he has no guesswork for who he is and what he's doing. He knows who he is, and I love this story because it's a continuation from Future State,
yeah,
and from the stuff that was done during the Fear State run on the Batman series. And so, yeah, shout out to John Ridley, man. I mean, he's writing Black Panther and I Am Batman.
Yeah, this
Can't
book
be
is
mad
dope.
at it.
This book is dope. For those of you who have not given this book a chance, I would encourage you. Don't worry about reading the Future State and the Second Son. You can do that later. If you want an easy jumping on point without having to deal with everything that happened before, start with issue 6. This is issue 7 that just came out that's up on the screen. Start with issue 6. It's a great jumping on point. It's where he's moved to New York. He's become the new Batman. It sets up the entire story line that's going on right now. This is a good book. It's interesting.
Shout out to
people complaining about, well, I don't want a black Batman. Yeah, it's not an original character. Well, yeah, it is what it is. I didn't hear this. I didn't hear this complaining when when Batman Incorporated came out several years ago. And it's the same concept that you have a Batman in every major city. This is no different. He is the Batman of New York. Batman is a franchise. Even Bruce Wayne, when he leaves to go to London, he's like, I don't got to worry about Gotham. I got a whole squad. I got a whole family in Gotham to take over for me. Batman has always been about, I've got to train others. If you look at the history of Batman, Bruce Wayne Batman has always understood that he can't do this forever and has in fact planned for the future continuously for his own replacements. He did that with the concept of the Robins, multiple Robins. He did that with the concept of the Outsiders. The whole concept of the Outsiders is to have an alternative superhero team to the Justice League to handle crimes that they won't handle and base it out of Gotham. He did it with Batman Incorporated, in which he tried to make it a worldwide thing. Yep. Even in the current Batman story, they circled back to the concept of Batman Incorporated. It has always been part of Batman mythos for Batman to have replacements or others that do the same thing that he does. It's not a new concept. But when you put a black face on it, all of a sudden it's, we don't want it because he's Black Batman. I'm like, it's myopic.
You know what? shout out to Ken Lashley, the lead killer. Follow Ken Lashley, lead killer on Instagram. He's a fun follow. That's his cover.
This
I mean,
cover's dope.
you said, yeah.
Tell me you've ever seen a cover like this before.
Oh, no,
I mean, there's like so much energy on this damn cover.
Mm-hmm.
You can feel the speed with him riding on his bat cycle.
Yeah, man. Ken Lashley, the truth. I ain't listen, I'm not mad at that dude at all. But Black I will writer, say that
artist, black character got me.
Mm-hmm.
So in the story, without giving it all away, there is a sister who is a commander, so to speak. She's been kind of put over a task force to work with him. And she doesn't really want to work with him. But, he is trying his dear best to let her know that his intentions are good and that, he is a stand-up guy. So there's
Chubbs.
issues
Her
of
name
trust.
Is Chubbs.
Yeah. There's issues of trust initially, but he proves himself in the story. And I look forward to their interaction going forward. One of the things I like about this particular story too with John Ridley is that he is not shy about dealing with some of the issues. There's a part where there's a guy who is I don't know if he's part of the old guard, and he's upset that they have brought him in to kind of handle the things that's going on in New York. And the guys in New York, or the powers that be in New York, said, look, this guy ain't going nowhere. We might as well work with him. Maybe we can get something out of him or whatever. And he's given them, in this particular issues, he has delivered results. He's effective. And we'll see where the story goes. It's just not starting to ramp up. So yeah, could you bring that comment right back up, Paul? I didn't get a chance to fully see it. Yeah, I have issue 7 with the first issues and Naomi season 2 also. Great books. I have not read the Naomi #1, season 2 #1, so I can't speak to it. I mean, what about you guys? Have you guys read it?
I did. I did.
What do you think?
It's if you like the original Naomi series, you'll like this. It's a continuation of that. Somehow, some way, Jamal Campbell's art actually got better, if that's possible. Bendis is being Bendis. It's classic Bendis writing. If you're familiar with Bendis's writing, you know what I'm talking about. He has the ability. It's not about the whiz bang pow type stuff with Bendis. The best parts of Bendis's writing is when it's just quiet dialogue between two characters, just talking.
But don't forget now, you're giving Bendis a lot of praise. Don't forget about the God, David Walker.
Yes. The two of them in tandem, and I apologize for not mentioning David Walker, because it's really the three of them that are the creators of Naomi.
Right.
David Walker, Michael Bendis, and Jamal Campbell. The dialogue that they have in the book is just really well done. I like the literary device of having Naomi see a therapist to discuss what she's going through. And that's something that had began in the first series. And it's interesting here now, post superhero, with the powers and everything, because it takes on a different, power. But it's interesting to see how she's grown as well, because she's been through a bunch of stuff. At this point, she's gotten her power. She's traveled to her own world. She has worked with the Young Justice. She's now worked to the big leagues in the Justice League and has traveled to other worlds with that as well. She has literally been a young person who has seen a lot. And that's something that hadn't occurred to me that's mentioned in this issue. She apparently dropped out of school as a result. Because her friend is asking her, are you coming back to school? And she's like, wow. I mean, it's not until that moment that I realized, yeah, she hasn't been in school all this time, and she's a high school kid. And when you think about it, when she's going over all these things, these fantastic events and things that she's done, and then she's worried about, hey, are you going to come back and go do your homework? It's like a reality check that I thought was an interesting literary device, and that's just good writing. Good writing. I mean, it didn't take much, just tiny bits of dialogue like that helps to make things have a certain tone, which I enjoy.
Do you happen to have the variant covers?
I'm sorry, I still have the other thing up there. Let me bring up the Naomi. Were there variant covers? Oh, the one variant cover. That's right.
That one variant cover that everybody's going to clamor for, the Carla Cohen one.
The Carla Cohen one. I don't.
I mean, listen. Can I say something about that, y'all, while I'm here? Okay.
Of course.
Listen, I love Black women. I adore Black women. And it's great to get these covers. It really is. It really is. They're very, very good when they're drawn amazing. And so I was just thinking, why is it? I mean, Black characters have been around for decades. Why don't we have more? And I understand the writers and artists back in the day. A lot of these guys fetishize Black women, but I'm just amazed to see what we've been getting lately. That's all. That's a beautiful cover. That's a beautiful cover. And that's probably and as you can tell, it's $15.21
for one of them.
And I guess that's my point. Why do I got to pay $15 for Black Beauty?
You want both covers? It's $34.42 plus shipping. So you can pay about $40.
Man, that's crazy.
That's
crazy.
Right.
Who is the? I guess my question. My other question is, who is the model?
Don't know.
Because I mean, that's. I mean, is that Naomi?
It's interesting. This cover, actually, when you first look at it, the first thing that came to mind was that this was a Stranger Comics variant.
Niobe.
For Niobe.
That's what it looks like. That what it looked like to me. Sebastian, you out there cutting side deals, my brother?
that or Sebastian's owed a check for this cover.
So and I think that's what kind of struck me as not odd, but just kind of surreal. It's like I've seen this before. Because you're right, that is a Stranger Comics themed type style, But hey, it is what it is.
What's up, Gordon?
Shout out to all the beautiful melanated women of our lives. You make life so much better.
Shout out
says, good evening, everyone. Mr. Lashley is my guy. Yeah. Shout out to Ken. Ken, the lead killer. That's what I like. Now, he said, I think a problem some Black people who comic book readers have with Black Batman or Black Captain America, they think it's tokenism on Black characters. Yeah, Ken, we're very aware of that. But here's the thing for me. This is just Richard Wright's opinion. For me, it's like, well,
do I gotta put the disclaimer up on the screen?
Don't put a disclaimer. No. We're not doing that. I'm just gonna say that. Look, listen, all of this stuff is made up, guys. All of it is made up. It's not real. It's only ink and paper. Calm down. These are not real people. Okay? Listen, here's the deal. I understand people's thoughts about tokenism. However, I think it's a poor word. It's a poor choice of word. Because if you understand tokenism in the traditional sense that it has been used, then you know that that's a character or a person that is put in a traditionally white space to actually uh, present, I would say, diversity. They do that with jobs. They do that with careers. These are things that are political in nature, but also financial in scope. If I'm a white man, I own a business, I got 10 white people working for me. I need to have at least one female and one, one black woman. You know, uh, I mean, that's just kind of that would be considered tokenism. Okay. Now, me tripping on, I'm like, to me, I take all of this stuff, whether it's Captain America, whether it's I Am Batman, whatever. I take it all as, you know what? This is par for the course. I can have this. If I go to a buffet, Paul, and I get like I get the steak and I get a baked potato and some mixed vegetables, whatever. But you know what? Over there is some smothered chicken. It's a part of the buffet. I can eat that too. Yes, you can have that too. So I can have you. I don't know how to listen. There's level to this nerdum. and I'm gonna be. Let me just keep it a stack. Maybe this is where the disclaimer comes in, Paul. Some of you dudes is just weird for me.
Hold on. Before we do. Not all views expressed by either Richard, Tameko, or myself in this live are reflective of the Black Comic Lords, Black Superheroes Forever, and all affiliated organizations, agencies, and groups. Go ahead and proceed.
I promise you. Listen, I promise you. When I go to bed at night and I think about my day, I don't think about tokenized characters. I just don't. I just don't. Because guess what? I have bills. I have a wife. I have life to live. A token character is very low on my reading list. So I enjoy these things because they're supposed to be fun. Supposed to be fun. What isn't the fun? I mean, if some of you Bammers had your way, I would just read about Captain America and his white pasty self. If I had to leave it up to some of y'all, because guess what? Okay, what if Captain America was a brother? How would he be? What was his What would his demeanor be? What kind of attitudes would he have? Would he bring some soul food or whatever to the cookout? I don't know. All these what if questions. And so it's like I'm not supposed to enjoy. I'm not supposed to enjoy these things because they don't make any sense. It's not germane to the character. It's not original. Okay, if it's not original, here's my thought. If it's not original, okay, let's see. I'm left to read. If I'm reading Marvel, I'm left to read Luke Cage, Black Panther, Falcon.
X-Men.
But the only way, and the only way I can read Falcon is I got to read about the white Captain America. I'm just saying. Let's see who else. I can go read Blade. Okay, but I got to read about White Dracula.
And there's always the X-Men. The X-Men.
Oh, well, I got to read about a white man in a wheelchair. He can control your mind. Now, here's the thing. Sorry, Charles Xavier. I respect you, but you're in a wheelchair, bruh. No, but you can control people's minds. You mean to tell me you can't make your brain walk? Tell your own self to walk? I'm just saying. I'm just throwing this out here. Y'all want to mess with me tonight? You don't poke the bear. Don't poke.
Hashtag let us enjoy black things, please.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. Thank you, Tameko. Thank you. Let us be able to enjoy these things. Why is it that there's always some woke? And here's the thing. Listen, I know you guys out there on the YouTube spaces. You want black original characters. I get it. I want them too. But I'm not going to sit around and agonize over the fact that you can't get over that somebody decided to paint Miles Morales a, a white character. Okay, you don't want that. Okay, what if Miles Morales was Captain America? What if Miles Morales was Wolverine? What if Miles Morales was Hulk smash? Arrgh. Are you happy yet?
The interesting thing, I posted earlier this week this article. Let me share this article here about this very topic.
Yeah. Now, for everybody that's watching us, I'm just having fun. I'm just poking. I'm just playing. I'm not being serious. Okay. I am easily amused, and when topics like this come up, I try to find the funny. Okay. New
So
versus nostalgia.
this is an article in Games Radar. It says new versus nostalgia. Why new characters have a hard time succeeding in superhero comics. And the basic premise is this. When you have these debates about, well, I'm not going to support this character or that character because they're not an original, black character. They're a legacy character of a white character.
Right.
It's not as simple as that for a few reasons. One, more than likely, you're probably not supporting the original black characters that are there. Two, as evidenced by the fact that the books often get canceled. Two, there's nothing new under the sun in mainstream comics. I mean, unless you're someone who reads just independent books, and there's people that do that, and that's fine. Hell, a large portion, about half of what I read right now, are independent books. Unless you are going fully the independent route, there's nothing new under the sun when it comes to the mainstream books. When I say mainstream, I mean Marvel and DC. Image, there's always stuff new, but if you're reading Marvel and DC, which obviously has the biggest parts of the market, everything's been regurgitated and repainted over and re-put out there again and again. You're dealing with the same power sets, the same types of teams, the same characters. They're just given different names, different costumes, different looks, but it's the same thing over and over again. That's comic books. That's not white comic books. That's not black comic books. That's comic books. That's just part of comics culture. Are you new to this? Yeah. If you're new to this, you're making arguments about, that's a ripoff of a white character. Everyone's ripping off everybody. You don't talk about it when this white character is ripped off by another white character. You don't care because it's comics. So when a black character, a white character's mantle, it becomes a big deal. Understand?
What's funny though? Yeah. Here's the thing, Paul. What you said is very, very true. And I was thinking about one particular character that's on Image that people don't talk about, or they didn't really cut for the book, or they really just did not cut for the character. And one of those books is Stealth. Yeah. Stealth was a black superhero. Now I don't know if he's a legacy character or not. But what I do know is that if I bring Stealth into a conversation with some of us, they're gonna frown at that. If I bring Spawn up, they're gonna frown at that too. Well, he's not really a black character. They burnt him up. They burnt all his skin off. I'm like, okay, dude. without even looking at the fact that even and see what I hate is that some of us are so purist that we don't even read the comic or the material that speaks to it. Because Spawn, in issue number 2 of Spawn, he addresses who he is in that particular issue. So Todd McFarlane, for all his faults, and I'm not a McFarlane apologist, but he kind of addresses who Spawn is. He's a black character. He's a black man.
Yeah.
And so, but we don't look because he's not.
But he's not black enough. Is the problem?
Yeah.
He's not black enough. That's the argument that's made with regard to Spawn. He doesn't address black issues. He's not black.
Yep. And here's the other thing too.
His blackness isn't the predominant factor of his books and how he addresses things that happen to him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. When you're a character who's dealing with heaven and hell, who apparently aren't racist, by the way, because they're above that, your race doesn't really come into much of a factor. When you're dealing with, heaven and hell and the supernatural,
you got bigger fish to fry.
You got bigger fish to fry than, you look a certain way, and yet we're focused on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate though, but to the point is that we say we want original characters, and while I get the argument that it is a legitimate thought that we should have, I can't look to Marvel and DC to provide for that. I just can't, because guess what? These are private companies. These are companies owned by white people. So should I become? Here's the question, Paul. Should I be the Martin Luther King of the black comic book community?
No, it's not about that. It's not about that. It's much simpler than that. Marvel and DC have their stable of characters. They have those particular characters that will always be there. The Justice League will always be there. The Avengers, when I say the Avengers, I mean the original. Your Captain America, your Iron Man, your Thor, your Hulk, your core characters, they'll always be there in one shape. Marvel's not getting rid of those characters. DC's not getting rid of Superman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, Batman. They're not getting rid of them. They will always be parts of those companies. DC Comics stands for Detective Comics. Batman will always be a part of DC. Okay? So understand that all they've done over the last 80 years is simply change the costumes and the faces and the names of the same archetypes over and over again. And that's their formula. That's what they do. That is the definition of mainstream comics, is that you'll always have these characters in their various forms and they're offshoots of those characters. Yeah. And so taking issue with when they finally say, hey, let's put a black one in, and it's a token. I can't believe they're doing that. It just doesn't make any sense. That's comics. Now, that's not me saying that it is not preferred to have new original black characters. But guess what? Because that's my preference. But guess what? That's the general argument for everything when it comes to mainstream comics. They don't make new original characters anymore. It's always going to be Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Captain America. It's always going to be those guys at the end of the day. Marvel has the same problems DC has. They have a whole stable of other characters that are new original characters that are not tied to the main ones of their history, and they don't use them. That's a mainstream comics. If you don't like it, don't read mainstream comics. Go read independent. Yeah. But certainly don't bash people that still like those archetypes. That's just not fair.
I just think too that a lot of times we're just sometimes we're just looking for an argument to have. I think that it boils down to we've always said this: read what you enjoy. Above anything else that you do, read what you enjoy. Read what you enjoy, because guess what? I have no right to tell Tameko what she should read, and she has no right to tell me what I should read. We can all make suggestions. Hey, this is a dope book. Read. You can make a suggestion like that. But I can't tell somebody that's a comic book head you shouldn't read that. And now H&H comment says too much low-hanging fruit in these existing characters. Why plant a new seed in the ground when you already have the tree?
That's their philosophy.
Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's an ongoing thing. I know that we at Black Comic Lords, we try not to get in too involved in those kind of debates and arguments. We'll talk about it. We're not afraid to talk about it, but we don't really get into those things because we see the value in those characters, and we don't just dismiss them as just being, legacy characters or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, DC has legitimately 300 characters, Black characters, and they don't use, but. Like I said a while ago, jokingly, I'm like, should I become the Martin Luther King? Should I go to DC offices and, should I, demand that they, give us what we want? Give us. They're not going to do that. You have to do that for yourself. And a lot of times, it's not going to be. It's going to be just you. It's going to be you just enjoying that. I mean, we talk about independent Black books all the time. There are books that you can go out that I can recommend right now, but I'm willing to bet that 90% of the people that's watching us and they'll see this video will not even bother to go get those books. Because again, we got a lot of talk and less walk. It is what it is. And here's the thing too. I'm not loyal to nobody. I'm not loyal to an LCS. I'm not loyal to none of these guys, because guess what? At the end of the day, I'm just a fan. I'm just somebody that picks up a comic book and read. I want to enjoy the art, tell me a dope story, and I'm good. But outside of that, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that make a lot of money just simply trashing comics because that's what they get paid to do. A lot of people on YouTube get paid to just, talk about how bad these books are. Fine. Sucks for you. You have a suck life. If your life is reduced to where you have to tear down an entire fandom, it sucks to be you, my brother. It really does, because it's supposed to be for fun.
At the end of the day, you're supposed to read what you enjoy. What I take issue with is when you have one fan tell another fan you should not enjoy that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't read that. You're not. That book isn't good because I disagree with that character. That bothers me for a number of reasons. We're not a homogenous society in general, and specifically, Black people are not homogenous in their ideas, their politics, their backgrounds, their experiences. We're different, just like every other people. And what you find interesting, what excites you may not be the same for the other person.
No.
And the difference is that I was pointing out the difference between the mainstream books and the independent books is that the mainstream books have these archetypes that have been there for 60, 70, 80 years. And what makes them so popular, has made them survive for so long, is because they're concepts that were good. Because there are other characters that were created in the 60s and the 70s that you still don't see today. Why? Because they weren't as popular. They don't fit that. They're not the classic characters. They didn't become classics. But these characters that have survived these long decades has been in large part because they're classic characters. And to say that a person who has read that, particularly long-time readers, older people like myself, and say you can't read that, you can't like that, you can't appreciate Batman, you can't appreciate Superman. I don't like Superman, but as a general concept, because that person is this, and that. Well, you don't know what's going on in that person's life, or what their experiences are, and what makes that character appeal to them. It's not necessarily the color of that character's skin that appeals to them. It could be the concept of having a noble character who puts, the needs of others ahead of themselves, or it could be that you had a bad experience with a violent death in your family, so Batman appeals to you. or you've lost the uncle and that reminds you of Spider-Man and that's what appeals to you. It's whatever.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this is escapism, right?
Yep.
This is you're supposed to be reading this for fun. And
Yep.
we read these stories, we read these modern day fables to escape our realities. It's tough enough for us being black people in America without us tearing each other down over the means in which we escape the horrors of what we deal with on a daily basis. That's crazy.
Very crazy.
You want to tell me how I can get my mind right and how I can deal with the stresses of being a black man in America and I'm not doing it the right way? Miss me with that, son. Every time. Miss me with that. Y'all need to grow up. You make me. This nights when he's going off. This one of those things I go off on.
Yeah.
Y'all need to grow
here's
up.
The thing too.
Stop acting like children.
And this is for my original characters, crew. Okay. If you have children, right? And this is for you pagans. When Halloween comes around, make sure you dress your kid up in a black original character. Now, if you can't find a costume, I'm gonna need you to do what my man Chuck Brown did in Black Manta issue 2. He made he had a character in the story that made his own costume. So all of you out there standing on that hill, ready to die on that original black character hill. When it comes to things like cosplay, when it comes to expressing yourself in these nerdum spaces, whatever, let me see y'all really do that. Let me see that. Because I'm not impressed by the argument that these characters are not legitimate. These characters are insulting. These characters are false. And it's lazy writing and all of this stuff. Listen, there was a movie that came out a few years ago, and it talked about how when you see something authentic, particularly art, and there's this racket about people making fake copies of original art pieces, right? Do you know how good you have to be to recreate an original piece? You have to be amazing, first of all. So it's not always a set issue that I'm gonna create this character. So the Ken asks, is the Black Manta series good? Oh, bro, do yourself a favor and go get the trade, or go find the issues. Yes, Black Manta is a very, very, very good read. You will not be disappointed. But so when we get these stories by these characters that are quote unquote legacy characters, the question I have is, what kind of story is being told? That's all I care about. If John Ridley's I Am Batman was trash, I have no problem. Paul knows this. Tameko knows this by now. I have no problems putting a fork in that chicken, and it will be done. I have no problem calling a spade a spade. But a lot of this stuff.
Talk about that for 1 second. Can I say something about that?
Go ahead.
I get the argument, and I don't want to misinterpret or misquote me on this. I get the argument about the importance of original black characters, and I stand behind that. I actually prefer original black characters over legacy characters. But that's not just because I don't want my character to be based on some white character foolishness. It has to do more with the fact that in mainstream comics, you're getting the regurgitation of the same storylines over and over again. And when you stick to these archetype characters, you're not getting new ideas and creativity. So, for example, you can have a legacy character that was originally white and then made black and elevate it to something better. A perfect example is Mr. Terrific.
Yes.
Mr.
Mhm.
Terrific, the original Mr. Terrific was white. Does anyone know that? No. Does anyone care? No.
No.
Because the only Mr. Terrific everybody knows about is the black one, Michael Holt,
Mhm.
right? Because they took a crappy concept and made it into something better.
Yeah.
Right? Now, next point. I will always have issues with those who criticize the concept of a legacy character without actually reading the book. Because you are doing yourself a disservice if you're sitting there trashing I Am Batman and you haven't read that a book that's written by a black man, by the way,
Mhm.
with a black artist, with a black character, and you're saying,
Mhm.
"Well, I'm not gonna support that because it's the original character from 70, 80 years ago was white."
Yeah.
That's logical to you? Okay.
Yeah.
We're trying to get more black creators in the spaces and
Yeah.
have them writing with their voices people that look like us.
Mhm.
And you're so politically aware and conscious that you're not going to support a black writer with a black artist, with a black character, putting a black voice with our ideas out there unapologetically because the original legacy character on a mainstream book was white. That's the logic we're using. Okay.
I mean, you know, again, and if I had to go by that, then I wouldn't be able to read Joe Mullen. I wouldn't be able to read Fawcett. I wouldn't be able to read a whole lot of stuff.
That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. And all the characters you just talked about, all those books are fire books. I Am Batman, good read. And I'll take an L on this. I'm the first one who criticized, and I still, on many respects, criticize the Miles Morales what if story thing because I think it was handled poorly. I think they should have taken Miles Morales and use him in what if scenarios with more obscure characters than established white characters that don't need a publicity. I still believe that. I think that concept is bad. However, that being said, I read the what if Miles Morales was Captain America, which was written by a black man with a black artist with a basically all black book. And it was well written. I hate to tell you, I want to be able to trash it to stick with my original thing of let's ban this book because the concept sucks. But the reality is, if I'm keeping it 100, it's a well-written book, and it actually makes me want to read the next one. So
is the same guys writing that wrote that book is writing the next few books?
Yeah, I believe
the same
so.
guy.
I believe so.
Okay, I might give it a look see then. I look see.
I look. I don't know what the other books are going to be like. I can't imagine. I'm not a Hulk guy, so I can't imagine Miles Morales becoming a Hulk being something I'm interested in.
That's a trope that they would.
I'd be lying to you if I told you that Captain America book was not good.
Yeah, well,
I'd be lying.
I'll look at the Hulk book. Angry black man trope. I'm here for that. Bring the popcorn.
That's an interesting take. It'd be interesting to see if they go in that direction, right? Imagine you have a scene where Miles Morales is in the bank trying to get some money, and they try to arrest him. You want to do what?
Yeah. I'm here for that story. Listen, guys. Okay, it says reading comic books and watching classic cartoons is a joy for me because it still makes me feel like a big kid in my heart in a positive way. That's what's up. That's what we're talking about, Ken. That's what we're talking about, my brother. Listen, we were supposed to do Down the Rabbit Hole. We did go down the rabbit hole with this particular story. So, with that being said, we're going to get ready to get out of here. But before we get out of here, let's talk a little bit about Batman. Okay. And I talked to my esteemed colleagues about this a little bit earlier before we came on.
The movie.
The movie, the Batman, the movie.
The Batman.
So, okay, there's a character in the movie who is the mayor of Gotham. She is a black woman. And she's very beautiful and she's very powerful, right? And in her being this character, you know, there's a crisis going on with the Riddler, and she steps to the plate to try to handle things. And what happens to her, spoiler alert, what happens to her, She's being warned by the authorities. Jim Gordon tells her, listen, Riddler's out here doing things. We're trying to keep you safe. She's like, no, somebody got to stop this foolishness. She runs to the podium. As soon as she gets to the podium, she gets Crispus Attucks.
Did you just say Christmas addicts? Seriously?
I'm just saying. She got shot. She got shot, bro. I'm like, really? That's what we doing to the black woman in 2022? That was just wrong. There she is. But here's the thing. Now you might ask yourself, why is your crazy behind talking about the mayor getting shot and getting back? Okay. So here's the deal. I wanted to talk about real briefly about how there is a certain method of the madness going on where that when companies or when organizations get in trouble, they tend to bring in an Olivia Pope. For those of you don't know who Olivia Pope is, go get a late pass and go watch Scandal that was on ABC by the Queen Shonda Rhimes. So Olivia Pope was a fixer. Okay? Now, in
what
being
you say
a
she
fixer,
was? A black woman?
Olivia Pope. Huh?
You said she was a what? A black woman?
Who?
You said Olivia Pope was a something.
A fixer.
Black woman?
She was a fixer. She's a black woman. She's a fixer.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yes, pretty much. Did you get what I'm saying?
Anyway, they're synonymous. Fixer and black woman synonymous.
So, but here's the deal, though. Okay, a lot of these organizations, I'll name one, and I won't totally throw them under the bus. But the Dallas Mavericks had a sexual harassment problem in their front offices. They had to hire a new operating officer. Mark Cuban had to hire a sister. And what a lot of companies have done over the past few years is that when they get in trouble, they hire a black woman. I'm not mad at it. I just recognize it for what it is. Sisters, you guys are amazing. We have an amazing person on the line. Tameko, you have all my due respect. But one thing about black women that I love, that they're very nurturing, but they're also very, very almost too loving to a fault. And what I mean by that is that they are, like Paul said, they are naturally fixers. You put them on the case, they get the laser focus, they handle business. And so in comics, we're seeing some of that. In this particular movie, you see this black woman being strong, being determined, Commissioner Gordon, or should I, Lieutenant Gordon, he's not commissioner yet. He tries to tell her. She walks right past him. She's just like, boom, I got to go out here and handle business, almost to a blind fault. And she walks right into the valley of danger. She gets shot, and it just kind of puzzled me and bothered me. Why is it like that? Why is it like that? I mean, do our ladies have to be sacrificed almost for everybody?
I don't know if I interpret it as a lady thing. I think it was
more.
more.
No. I'm not saying that it's all that, but I do think there's something to that.
I think the character was supposed to represent a progressive. She's young, she's black, and she's female, right?
Yeah.
And she is representing the progressive movement in Gotham. Gotham is old, it's cancered, it's crusty, and it's corrupt. It's white.
And they showed they didn't want progressive.
Correct. And so I think that's what that scene was. Is you have the epitome of change, because you have the opposite of what Gotham's power structure has been. You have someone who's young, you have someone who's black, you have someone who's a woman. Whereas Gotham old power structure is white, male, old, and rich, right? So she represents like Gotham trying to be better. And Gotham said, "Nah, we're not down with that." So,
but why
gone.
is it that the black? But why is it that the sisters are brought in to clean up stuff?
Because they're the best at it.
All right, but still, I'm just saying. I get it. But still, I mean, Tameko, you give me your thoughts. How do you? I know you hadn't seen the movie yet, but I mean, what do you think about this particular subject matter?
When the Democratic Party had to fix itself, Stacey Abrams came in and saved the Democratic Party in the election.
Well,
it's an age-old conditioning. Okay,
yeah.
we don't come out the womb wanting to fix everything. We've been placed in that position, and other people who seek to sacrifice us to further their agendas or to clean up whatever mess that other people left behind. Okay, the scene in the movie is a bit extreme reaction of what would happen,
Mm-hmm.
but on most levels, on most occasions, okay, if you need something to be done, if you need something to be fixed, if you need somebody who's efficient, you get a black woman. And it's pretty much the new fashion, the new thing now to put a black woman's face on things. You put black women's face on comics to sell them because I've been a comic book head since I was 12 years old and I'm 50 now. I ain't never seen Storm on so many covers in books that she's not even involved in.
Right.
No.
Black women have now become the new black.
Yeah.
Yeah, black women are used on covers of comics now to sell the comics. They're not going to get any real airtime on the inside of the book, but they'll be on the cover to sell comics. It's weird.
And here's the thing, though. We have a lot of black female characters. Whether we're talking about Storm, Misty Knight, Riri Williams, Naomi, Nubia,
Vixen,
Vixen, Monica Rambeau.
Mm-hmm.
We got a few out here. Then of course we got to shout out the young queen, Moon Girl, Luanella Lafayette. So we're getting more. They're getting more exposure, and I'm hoping that it doesn't become, like you say, a flavor of the month where we get this for a minute and then it all disappears. Because to me, I want to see it be a mainstay. I think it needs to become a mainstay where it's not just right now everybody's feeling good about this, but later on down the road or whatever, that real stories get told. Because like with a character like Moon Girl, you have this young, brilliant mind who pisses off a lot of white people for whatever reason, in that, how dare us put out a character, or how dare us champion a character who is the smartest in the Marvel universe? How dare she be a black one?
You listen to this comment that Gordon has just said. Sounds like we need some black women executives at Marvel and DC. That's where it's at. Mm-hmm. That's where it's at, which is why I stand on my squares, as Rich often says, when it comes to supporting these black creators in their endeavors at Marvel and DC. You don't get to be in the bullpen of decision making automatically. You got to work your way up, unfortunately. And when we get a black writer and a black artist and they're on a book and they're working together, you got to support that. You got to support, because that's the first rung, the first step to getting them in the decision-making process. Dwayne McDuffie showed us that. Mm-hmm. He wasn't able to do half the things I'm sure that he wanted to do, but the things that he was able to do when he was at Marvel and DC were significant. Enough so that he was able to, work out that deal for creation of Milestone. But if you don't have one of us in the bullpen with the other writers, that whole Falcon and Winter Soldier storyline, you would have John Walker and a guy named Bucky a black man named
Yeah.
Bucky right now if it wasn't for Dwayne McDuffie.
Uh-huh.
There'd be no
Yeah.
Battlestar.
No,
The dude would be named Bucky to this day.
no.
And that's what
And that's
happens
another
when
thing
you
too.
have us behind the scenes. We've got to support that. You got to
Mhm.
support.
You know,
Don't
it's
complain
interesting
about
too.
black people's representation if you don't support that.
You
Uh-huh.
talked about Dwayne McDuffie, right? And in talking about Dwayne McDuffie, you got to talk about Milestone. And so Milestone, you know, the only character as far as female that has been championed in Milestone at this point is Rocket. But there are others.
Oh, Zion
There are
Mara.
others. Yes. There's Flashback, who's a part of the Blood Syndicate.
Mhm.
I'm hoping that she's a part of the Blood Syndicate because right now all we got is 3 guys. That's what they put. That's what they have pushed out there.
Did you read the
you
newest
know,
Icon and Rocket?
huh?
Did you read the newest Icon and Rocket?
The newest one.
Yeah, the last one.
When did they come out? Because I've
Um,
read the latest one, but you know, I just finished reading Static #6, but I don't think that the last Icon and Rocket book is out yet.
oh, just disregard what I just said.
See what I'm saying? We're gonna have to edit.
I'm out here just airing out Black Comic Lord's business. My bad. Everyone just disregard what I just said.
Mm.
You know
Buy the
what?
next issue of Icon and Rocket, by the way.
Mhm.
I would just say, I'm gonna say this and say, I'm glad you said it. It wasn't me. It can't blame Rich for that one.
That was my slip up. Make sure you read the next issue of Icon and Rocket. I'm sure for
That was
an
funny.
undisclosed reason that it's going to be very, very good.
Yeah. So anyway,
I hope no one at
but
DC Comics just heard this. Just watch us live. We might not.
that's funny.
We might
That
have
is
to
funny.
delete this.
That was the last. You're like, what? We would just say this here.
Getting
Sorry about
myself in
that.
trouble now.
So
Mhm.
anyway, you say, tell us about the latest.
See,
So you didn't even
I'm
mention
sorry.
I might need to
Look at the
delete this
time.
video
How'd
after
it
it's
go?
done.
Well, look, okay, I wanted to talk about, you know, this situation with Batman, and I did have another. So we're coming up on a minute and 43 minutes, so
Mhm.
I'm going to keep that under wraps as far as that other subject that we were talking about, and of course down the rabbit hole goes. But what I will say is I want to thank each and every one of you guys for hanging out with us on tonight. I really, really appreciate it. We had fun. It's always fun with these bunch here. You never know what you're gonna get. You get spoilers. You get oops. You get and say, but we always right the ship. We always right the ship. What you got there, Tameko? What's that?
Oh, well, this was a point that I was going to make about the black women issue things, because this
Right.
here, okay, is a lovely, lovely variant cover with Storm on it. This book
Okay.
is X Factor 2. That team
Really?
that she wasn't even on.
Wow.
So yeah, that's how they use us to buy these things, because of course, being a Storm fan, anything with her face on it, you know, I'd had to have. And then I was wondering, what book was this? X Factor #2.
You know, it's interesting. They have.
Hold that up again.
He's
Let
trying
me
to go
see
get
if I
it.
can. There we go.
That's a nice variant. That is beautiful.
Mhm.
That's beautiful.
I think it's their if I'm not mistaken, their I just lost it. That's terrible. This was a variant series I was running in all the X books. So
Okay.
actually, let me just do a little quick look, so that will tell me exactly what it is. It is Days of Future Past. So this cover was done by Javier Rodriguez and Alvaro Lopez.
Okay. That's what's up.
H says that's a money grab.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Nico's like, I
Oh,
don't care. I bought it for the
It
cover.
is.
The cover's dope.
Marvel.
It is. But Storm was on
Oh,
it, so I had to do
you
it.
know what? While I'm here, let me go. You know, we kind of. I'm finna get in Marvel a little bit.
I just got in
Dear
trouble with
Marvel,
DC. You want to get in trouble with Marvel now?
we might as well go on and just throw down the gauntlet. Is everybody getting this work tonight?
Oh boy.
Okay, H&H has a question. Rich question. What do you think about Paul Dano as Riddler? I found him very chilling. Tiki Torch chilling. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, definitely. Listen,
Oh.
there was a guy who did if you haven't been under a rock or you've been under a rock, there was a guy who did a review and he said that, all the good people in the movie were black people and all the white people were evil.
Oh, I saw that.
And I just said to myself, I just said to myself, now this is Richard. This is just Richard. This is how Richard brains work. And
Listen. But before we get blasted on YouTube, I would appreciate if everyone who's watching this now were to like the video before it's deleted by various powers. Please just take a second. I'm begging you, just hit the like button. It doesn't cost you anything. Just hit the like button. So get the algorithm going.
That's what's
Thank
up.
you.
But back to the Riddler. Okay, so the Riddler definitely gave us Tiki Torch vibes. I'll be honest, when I first looked at him and saw him, I thought about the Watchmen HBO series. That's what I thought about. I thought about those cats that was in the Watchmen doing their dirt. But I definitely enjoyed the Riddler as a villain in the Batman. It was pretty cool. He definitely was a great choice for this particular movie. I'm glad it wasn't Joker. I'm glad they actually went a different direction. And the movie was fantastic. Everybody knows that me and Paul, we loved it. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm probably going to try to go see it this weekend.
Again?
And so again, so yeah. It was that good that it beckons a second look. And
I definitely want to see it again. To touch upon the statement you were just talking about that I interrupted you, and I apologize.
No worries.
About the quote about the person saying all the bad people, all the bad guys were white. I think you're the one who pointed out the question. What black villains are there in Batman?
Exactly.
Like what black villains are we supposed to see?
Yeah. The mayonnaise is strong in Gotham. That's all I was saying. The mayonnaise is strong in Gotham. You can say what you want, but you can't deny that. You can't. Bill Finger, Bob Kane, they had white people on their mind. So you have nobody to blame but yourself.
Get upset because they changed the race of two characters where the race is not really a factor in the character at all. In fact, one would argue that the Selena Kyle character, she works better as a black woman than as a white woman, really. In my mind. I've always personally, because my first exposure to Catwoman was Eartha Kitt.
Right.
So for me, Catwoman will always be black in my mind, or always be preferable to be black in my mind. So the character just works better as a black character for me.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing too. I mean, she's biracial or black or whatever in the cartoon.
Moreover.
So
I posted in Black History Month last month. DC Comics themselves did a post where they went down the top 15, 20 black characters of DC. And one of the characters they put was Catwoman. DC themselves acknowledged that Catwoman is black, at least biracial. So she was intended to be so.
I mean, again, that's par for the course. I just think that the browning of America has got everybody nervous.
Yeah.
And white people, white fanboys, they feeling themselves, and it's like, well, they taking over everything. Yeah, that's what it is. Sorry, not sorry. Okay. You've had these characters for 80 years.
Mhm.
80 years. 80 years. So you get no sympathy this way. You know, feel how you feel. You know, only a hit dog will holler. So, so
And
I
we
mean, you
ain't
know,
throwing
like
the
I
rocks.
said, yeah,
We're not going to throw the rocks.
no, not at all. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, blame yourself.
The
Blame
argument
yourself.
of why weren't the bad guys? Why weren't any of the bad guys black? I'm like, there's no black villains in Gotham other than Killer
Yeah,
Croc.
pretty much. We're not even sure if he's the brother. They want to make him a brother, but whatever. You know,
I don't think
if
he
we're going
will.
to have a racial, if we're going to have a racial a draft in Gotham, then I propose that we make Solomon Grundy a albino. At least he rhymes. Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday.
That would make for an interesting live. We need to do a black racial draft of comic book characters
Mhm.
and see how much hate mail that we get.
Lord, they probably shut
Be
the channel.
worrying.
They trying to shut the channel down. It's like, what are they doing over there at Black Comic Lords? I was like, yeah, we being trolls. But anyway, look, guys, we're gonna get out of here, man. It's almost 2 hours in. Now, my man Kenneth Gardner says some of the best Batman movies be influenced by the best Batman stories like Batman Year One, Batman The Dark Knight Returns, Long Halloween, and Batman
Yeah.
Hush. Absolutely.
Facts.
I'm a Batman guy, and you know, those stories are all amazing. H&A says, I don't know if I can imagine a Black Riddler. Maybe not. But here's the thing.
Got a Black Riddler
I
in
myself,
the Batman cartoon.
yeah. I myself, you know, when I look at the villains in Batman, race has never really been an issue with me.
Yeah.
It just hasn't, because it's not something that is really talked about. I mean, you know what I'm saying? There are times when Batman has had to deal with issues of race in his stories, but as far as like, and of course, I've heard one guy say that the reason why they won't create black villains is because they don't want backlash. And I'm like, okay, I'm not tripping if that's how you feel, but you're not doing us any favors leaving things as status quo either. You know, and while I'm not here to champion villains or whatever, I understand if you're going to write a villain and he's black, you got to give him a black story, because otherwise it don't make any sense. Because guess what it is? It's the have and the have-nots. It's not black privilege, okay? You know, so you know, my opinion, you know, a character like Black Manta, who is only one of the chief black villains in comics, in all of comics. Black people are really just now discovering who he is, even though his story's around, you know, for a long time. I found out recently too, Paul, that actually that's my book. The first appearance of Black Manta is the book of the year and day of month of my birth.
Really?
So that's the grail for my book. That first appearance of Black Manta. I found that out recently. So yeah.
So I got Luke Cage and you got Black Manta.
Yes, sir.
That's
Yeah, man. So, you know, again, it's one of those things where just read what you enjoy, okay? Try to have fun with these guys, because that's all I'm doing. You know, a lot of times I try to provide information, try to provide inspiration, but half the time I'm just sitting there, I'm just trolling. I'm just trolling you guys. So, you know, I don't mean no harm, but yo, real talk though, seriously, please like, share, subscribe this video. Please do that. It helps us with the algorithm. We want to thank you again. For those of you who want to check out our content, go to blackcomiclords.net. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can hit us with an email at blackcomiclords@gmail.com. And check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram at Black Comic Lords. We are there. We're in your face. And remember, we love you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Until next time, from Paul, Tameka, and myself. Peace.
Well, we love most of you. Most of you.
Buy the comics, read the comics.
Yeah, buy the comics, read the comics. We out.
Support black creators, support black characters.
Can we go home, please?
Peace, two fingers.
Yeah, peace.